Hello and welcome to another edition of Paydirt Remote. I'm Michael Washbourne, and today I'm joined by Comet Resources Managing Director Matthew O'Kane to talk about the company's Barraba project in New South Wales. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, how are you? Good to be here.
Good, Matthew. Thanks for joining us. You joined the company at the end of last year, and you've been rather busy over the last 4 or 5 months, focusing on a new acquisition. So tell us about this copper project in New South Wales and what the last couple of months have involved for you as a new CEO and Managing Director.
Yep, okay. Look, when I joined the company, I wanted to add something to the company's asset portfolio that complemented the existing graphite project down at Springdale. And we felt copper was the best metal or the best commodity for us to go after. Not only is it a good commodity in its own right, but it's also complementary to graphite and the decarbonisation of the transport network that both of these products or commodities are intimately involved in. We started looking at various projects both within Australia and outside of Australia, and we decided to pursue the copper project at Barraba, which we've now successfully executed the transaction on. For a number of reasons. One, its jurisdiction. We like the project being in New South Wales in Australia. It's a stable mining jurisdiction. And also there's some historical mines present on the licence. And one of those historical mines is a VMS deposit. And VMS deposits we felt are interesting because there is the way they form in clusters generally. So where there's one, there's likely to be others. So from an exploration potential, we thought it was very interesting to pick up a VMS deposit.
Yes, and as you mentioned, you wrapped up this acquisition only a few weeks ago at the start of April, and it came with a small share placement as well. And on top of that, you've been hit, I guess, with the COVID-19 and a few restrictions in terms of getting on the ground. So how have you just sort of managed the past month and what you hope to do when you can get back on the ground?
Yeah, COVID, I think, has been a challenge for everybody, obviously, not just Comet. We, of course, were halfway through the acquisition project of the Barraba project when the whole COVID thing hit the markets. We were, very lucky to have great vendors of the asset to work with. We work with them very collaboratively and also with our advisors on a revised raise to suit the market at the moment. And we're able to therefore move forward and still execute the transaction in what is, a pretty difficult time right now for juniors. We're doing a lot of desktop planning at the moment. So we already had a drill plan that was a conceptual drill plan, but we need to go out and do a site visit to confirm that we can drill where we're planning to drill the drill holes. We also want to do just an initial site visit as well post the acquisition. Right now, of course, we can't do that. We're expecting at the moment probably in Q3 that we'd be able to get over to New South Wales, and at that stage we'll do that initial visit. We'll firm up the drilling contractor and then commence the initial drill program in Q3.
And you mentioned those historical mines that are on your licence. How crucial are they going to be to your initial plans to start drilling?
They'll be a key part of the initial plans. They were, particularly the Gulf Creek historical mine, was one of the major points of interest for us when acquiring this project. The reason being it was mined in the late 1800s and early 1900s. It produced copper grading an average of about 5%, up to 10% in some areas. And it had accompanying zinc at grades of around about 1 to 2 times the copper. So very interesting grades. And, there's a lot of information about that historical mine, which enables us to plan this initial drilling program. There's an IP survey that was undertaken at site previously, and that's already delineated a couple of high priority drill targets for potential other VMS deposits on the site. And so we hope to be able to test at least one of those on the initial drill program as well.
And as you mentioned at the top, that the copper thematic was a strong reason for going after this particular project. What are you excited most about the red metal?
The underlying copper supply and demand dynamic is positive. There's going to be supply deficits forecast from 2025. On top of that, you've got copper's role in this decarbonisation of the transport network and renewable energy. And then I think the third thing we've got right now is coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, you're likely to see a lot of fiscal spending by governments, and infrastructure is always good for copper as well.
And many Comet shareholders will obviously be familiar with the Springdale Graphite Project here in Western Australia. What is the project status there, and any upcoming work that you might be wanting to get down back into southern WA when you can?
Now, we were expecting to have the results of the MET testing out in Q1, but due to the whole, seismic shift that happened with the COVID situation there, we deferred the MET testing at that time on Springdale until we could, rework and finalise the Barraba project, understand what our financing would end up like. Now that we're past that, we've recommenced that MET testing there, and that is the first step that we need to get completed to determine what the future work program at Springdale would be.
Is your plan for the company to run both of those projects concurrently?
Yes, it is, although I would say that this year is likely to be MET testing and then just development of next steps for Springdale. And then the balance of this year in terms of physical field exploration will be the Barraba copper project.
And just before I let you go, Matt, just wanted to ask you what your vision is for the company and for those long-standing Comet shareholders who are looking to see some value created out of their investment.
We're going to have exploration results coming out from a drilling program at Barraba in Q3, pending, the resumption of travel within the country. And so I think that whilst it has been a little bit of a difficult trot at the start of the year, there's a lot of upside, and I think there's a lot of value in the stock right now.
Sounds fantastic, Matthew. Thanks again for joining us on Paydirt Remote today, and I look forward to chatting to you again later in the year.
Yeah, I look forward to having a coffee in person once we get past this. It'd be nice to be out of the home office.